In this video, I'm going to break down a 3-step fitness guide for individuals that have high stress jobs. Maybe you are a shift worker, you are in security, you're a military personnel, you're someone that is a doctor, a nurse. And this is coming from a conversation that I had today. I was on a podcast with 3 ER docs, and this is basically what we talked about. So I want to come on and record a podcast and not a podcast, but a video in kind of a similar style, just so that you're going to learn a lot of the same lessons that I shared on that, but in a little bit more of a condensed conversation. And so, first thing is that a lot of people struggle with just they're overwhelmed, you're stressed, you're having a hard time just getting any motivation at all. And it's really hard to build any momentum. And so, the first concept that I want you to think about is what I call anchors and propellers. I want you to think about your momentum in your life is like a boat, and you're trying to get this boat to go forward, but you got these waves crashing into you, and you've got probably a lot of anchors holding you down. You might have one or two propellers, right? Maybe a good friend or maybe a little bit of motivation, but those can only go, you can only get your boat so far if you've got a ton of anchors holding you down. Now, let's talk about the things that crush your anchors from a scientific standpoint first, but then also like a practical thing that you can go and apply. You've got to address your dopamine. If you're just getting your dopamine drained via short-term gratification, it's going to be really hard for you to want to do anything long-term, where you have to use delayed gratification to get the result that you actually want in the future. So this could be things like scrolling on social media, junk food, alcohol, porn usage. It could be things that, you know, are gambling, things that you're just going shopping all the time, right? This idea that like I've got to get that quick dopamine rush. And what dopamine does is it's a perceived future reward, right? So it's not even that once you get the thing, then you get dopamine. It's this, oh, I'm opening a pack of cards. That's when you're getting the dopamine. It's the pull of the uh, roulette wheel or whatever the casino game that you're playing is. It's that anticipation of reward. That's a way to think about it. Then you've got your testosterone. I just released a video on this channel on how to improve your testosterone. This is going to be things like your sleep, your stress. If you're not exercising, that's going to kill your testosterone. If you're not eating nutrient dense foods, that's going to impact your testosterone. BPAs, right? Plastics that we get. It could also be just having excess fat on your body. Now, if you are overweight, you can't just get that excess fat off. You got to address the momentum and motivation first. And so the first thing that I would recommend is eliminate the things that are dragging you down. Eliminate the things that are taking your time. Eliminate the things that are taking away your energy. Because if you're someone that has a high stress job, there's only so much stress that your brain can handle. And your nervous system is probably in fight or flight, probably elevated cortisol for more often than ideally you would be in. And so you've got to do things that downregulate you. But when you have elevated cortisol, you're going to have elevated insulin resistance. It's going to be harder for your body to utilize glucose and not just store that as fat. It's going to be harder for your body to work and maintain a active metabolism because of how many things are working against your circadian rhythm and everything just at a cellular level. And so the things that are going to improve that is, one, get a good night's sleep, get some nutrient dense food inside of you, and then start to get 10-minute workouts in, 15-minute walks in. Start small. But if you're just super overwhelmed, you're going to default back to your basics. And it's going to be really hard to get any momentum with that ship if you've got a bunch of anchors that are holding you down. So doing things that, again, eliminate the dopamine depletion, and taking some activities or doing some activities that are going to start to boost testosterone so that you've got a little bit more ambition, so that you've got a little bit more drive. Testosterone is the main male hormone that gives you drive, that gives you ambition. And a good night's sleep, nutrient dense foods for a couple days, that's a great way to start. And then really go, just you got to get really clear, like write down in a journal, what are all the things that I'm doing in a day, and just look at it without the story inside of your head and say, all right, what do I need to go and eliminate? And eliminate that. And to take it a step further, if there's something that you need to eliminate, maybe it's a certain app on your phone, delete the app, make it harder for you to do that. That's something that I learned from Atomic Habits. You want to make hard habits, or you want to make bad habits harder to do. You want to make easy habits easier to do, or you want to make good habits easier to do. And so again, if you're really stressed and you come home at the end of the day and you can just go and reach, and all of a sudden there's this big bag of Doritos, well, that's very easy. You're tired. Your brain is just going for the shortest path to some form of a reward. So if you've got easy things that are bad habits, It's much easier to get to that. So you got to throw it away, put it high away, in a dresser somewhere. One of the things I do with my Xbox is I'll unplug it, take the controller, put the controller in a dresser or in a bin, put the Xbox away in a closet. And that's not to say that you shouldn't play video games, but now I've got to actively take a few more steps just to go and do that thing. So I'm like, I don't want to go and do that. Yeah, it might take 2 minutes, but that little bit of friction then's like, all right, well, I guess I'll go work out instead. So that's the first thing you got to do. Next thing you got to do is just master 2 to 3 key plays, right? This isn't that you got to go and be perfect with 500 different recipes, have all of these different workouts planned. Really, what you want to look at is, okay, what are the 2 things that cause me to eat junk food, right? It's probably going to be really low energy, and it's probably going to be hunger, because you're not always able to eat at a regular cadence. And there's going to be time periods when you're up late and your body just wants some glucose. It wants some sugar. It knows that if it has some sweet Skittles or a Dr. Pepper, it's going to get a little burst of energy. And you get that spike, but you also get that crash. And because you're probably seated for an extended period of time and there's nothing for your body to go and utilize all of that excess glucose, and you're also stressed because you're in this high stress environment, well, now there's, again, that insulin resistance that's going to be happening a lot more. And that's just going to make it much, much harder for your body to then go and utilize all this excess energy that's just sitting inside of your bloodstream. And so when I say master a few key plays, it's understanding the root behind the trigger, right? So the trigger, again, is I'm tired. The trigger is I'm hungry. Okay, hunger, some of the things that's going to impact satiety: high protein meals, high fiber meals. This doesn't even need to be meals, but what I would focus on is, okay, what are 1, 2, maybe 3 snacks that I can have ready to go that don't require any prep, that I can just go to my desk and grab, that I can just reach into the glove box and grab, that I can have on my body and grab. This could be beef jerky. This could be a protein bar. This could be a cheese stick, right? Those are a little bit smaller versions. It could be a rotisserie chicken that is already made and it is just sitting there in the fridge of, maybe the hospital that you're at. And you know that you can just go and grab from that in a quick 5-minute break. You don't need to go and throw it in the microwave, prep it, and put everything together. Then from a glucose standpoint, yeah, you could go and have some junk food, or you could have some blueberries, some raspberries, get some dried fruit even, because that's going to be a much more nutrient dense food that you can have, that you're like, okay, I'm stressed, I'm tired, I need some energy. Boom, go and get some fruit. That's going to be a natural sugar. That's going to be something that you're able to get, that same spike, but it's also going to have other nutrients in it, antioxidants. You're going to get fiber. You're going to get different vitamins and things that actually give your cells what they need to function at a high level. And so just knowing, okay, when this specific challenge presents itself, what are my plays? What are my go-to things that I know how to run? Because it's just a very clear input as to what I need to do. It's not enough to say, okay, I know I need to eat healthier. It's not enough to say, hey, have a protein shake. What are the specific ingredients that you're putting in a protein shake? Greek yogurt, protein powder, a banana, and some almond milk. Okay, now I know specifically what to buy. I know specifically what to put together. And maybe you don't have time for that. So maybe instead it's literally just protein powder and water, and you shake it up in a blender. But the big thing here is just have, before you get into that stressful environment, the 1 or 2 things that you can go and do. And then now you give your brain something to focus on in the chaos. Otherwise, you're just going to go right back to your default mode, which is probably what you're trying to avoid if you're trying to make a change to the routine that you're in. So that's step 2. Step 3 is test a hypothesis. And the idea behind this is that you obviously, to some degree, like, know what to do, right? You need to eat healthier. You need to exercise. You've probably seen things on social media, on YouTube, saying, hey, do these things. Ultimately, you got to do something. You don't have to do anything, but you got to do something. And so what I would say is, okay, I know based off of my experience or based off of people that I trust that these are 3 habits that'll be beneficial for me. Walking, drinking 100 ounces of water a day, just to give it a number. Maybe it's a gallon, maybe it's a little less, but drinking water, walking, and a 10-minute workout. Hint, hint, if you go over to my Fit for the Republic YouTube channel, there's free 10-minute workouts that you can follow from your home that tens of thousands of people have done. End of the plug there. So 10-minute workout, 100 ounces of water. Go and get some steps. And also, a little side note here, this is exactly what I do with clients. In their first 30 days, we give them a very clear target, very clear input. Hey, I want you to do 10 days of these 3 inputs. When you do, you're going to get a prize. And that prize is meant to reinforce positive inputs. But don't even put the pressure on yourself of it needs to be 10 days in a row. Say, I'm going to try and have 10 inputs of these very binary outcomes by 14 days, by 15 days, by 20 days, by 30 days. And now you give yourself a clear target, you give yourself a clear input, a clear deadline, and now you're just trying to get those inputs done. You might go 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, miss 4 days, 5, 6, 7, miss 2 days, 8, 9, 10. You hit 10, that was your goal. All right, now look at the data. This is where that test the hypothesis comes in. The scientific method is I have a theory. My hypothesis is if I get steps in, if I get protein in, and if I work out for 20 minutes, I'm going to feel better. I'm going to start to lose weight. Now track your weight. You tested the inputs, controlled the variables. What happened? Did you enjoy the workouts? If you hated the workouts, maybe you signed up for a CrossFit class and you hated it. Okay, well, go do something else. Maybe you did the CrossFit class and you loved it. Awesome. Now you know that that's one of your 3 variables. I know I'm going to do 15 CrossFit workouts every single month. I know I'm going to aim to get my body weight in protein. And I know that I'm going to aim, maybe you're trying to hit a fiber goal of 30 grams a day. Okay, cool. It's binary. Set a goal, set a target. Is it 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 days in a month? Now you've got a short-term goal with a little micro goal inside of that. And it's very binary as to what the inputs are. And that's all you need for momentum. The biggest reason why you feel like everything is overwhelming is because in your head, you've got to do 20 things, but that's just not true. You don't need to do the cold plunge, the meditation, the workout for 100 minutes, the protein, the fiber, the carbs, the fats. What's my micronutrients? Like, that's way too much. Start small. You have plenty of time to ramp up. You have your entire life to live a healthy lifestyle. Why are you trying to solve it all right now in 1 week? Here's the thing, you're not going to, because even if you get 15 out of 17 of the things on your list done, you're going to register that as a failure. But if you do 3 out of 3 things and you say, I'm going to do these 3 things, you do those 3 things. Now your say to do ratio is 1-to-1. When you say you're going to do something, you do it. You build momentum. You build trust with yourself. You build confidence, because when you say you're going to do something, you actually go and do it. And that's how you build momentum. You just win days. You win days over and over and over. You're not going to win every single day, but if you go and win 15 days out of 20, boom, that's much better than where you were at when you won 2 days out of 30. And now you've started to build momentum. Now you've started to get some propellers into your life. And we go back to that flywheel. What are your propellers? What are your anchors? What are the things that you got to eliminate? What are the things in life that you're holding on to that are giving you a C+ result, but you're just so afraid that if you get rid of that nothing else is going to fill it? I can promise you, if you let go of that C+ habit, that C+ person, that C+ opportunity, there is a B. There's a B+. There's an A waiting for you if you will just let go of that other one. So let go of that other one. The second one was just identify, hey, what are the 2, 3 things that I can execute in the most chaotic environment? And then say, all right, I'm going to test my hypothesis. If I do this for a week, for a month, this is where having a coach is really helpful, because my team and I, or anyone that you're working with, we're going to lay out, hey, here's the things that we've seen work really well for hundreds of people in your exact same shoes. Focus on this, focus on this, focus on this. There's your game plan. Go and execute it. Okay, based off of how you're feeling, what the data is saying, here's how you can make adjustments. That's the name of the game. And I heard this today, and I absolutely love it. An expert is someone that has discovered every single way to fail in a narrow field. And so everyone's worried about fear of failure. Failure is good. If you're a scientist, you want to run as many tests as possible, which means you're going to have a ton of failures, but you're going to collect so much data. You're going to learn so much. You're going to get so much more experience. You're going to have a much better understanding of the problem, because you've now built a silhouette around the specific thing that you are trying to solve. And you know, this doesn't work, this doesn't work, this doesn't work, this doesn't work. That's the thing that works for me. Here's the thing, it'll work for you until it doesn't. Life will change. It'll throw you a curveball. You got to adjust. You got to adapt. Now you got to make an adaptation to your strategy. But that's what life is, right? You're never just going to run the same rigid play for the next 60 years and never make a change outside of walking, drinking water, having protein, and going to bed. Like, you're going to need to make some level of changes. But that's where coaching comes in. That's where just learning this on your own and going through this journey. that's why it's a journey. That's why it's a lifestyle change. You're committing to not solving this ever. You don't win health and fitness. The goal is to stay in the game. So hopefully you start the game and continue to play the game and make this change. And hopefully you subscribe, drop a follow, drop a comment if you want to work together. There's links down below in the description, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.